Welcome to Gamescope, the podcast all about gaming.
Great to be here.
Today, we're doing a review roundup, diving deep into a game that, honestly, a lot of us were really excited about, Tales of the Shire, the Lord of the Rings game. You know, the whole idea was this super cozy life sim, finally letting you live out that perfect hobbit fantasy, gardening, second breakfast, maybe third breakfast.
Sounds idyllic, right? A perfect match for the Shire. But looking at the reviews, it seems the reality is a bit more complicated. It's definitely a mixed bag.
It really is. So for this deep dive, we've pulled together reviews and opinions from all over.
Yeah, we looked at the Reddit community, specifically our Cozy Gamers, checked out the official Steam user reviews, of course, and then the big critics, IGN, GameSpot, Eurogamer, Metacritic, the whole lot.
Our goal here is to really unpack what everyone's saying, figure out what works, what maybe doesn't, and where the game, well, maybe stumbles a bit on the path.
Where it trips over its own hairy feet, perhaps?
Ha!
Exactly. So let's start at the big picture, the scores, because this is where things immediately get interesting.
Right. So Metacritic, the critic score sits at 58 out of 100. That's based on 22 reviews, landing it squarely in the mixed or average category.
Okay, 58. Not stellar, but not a total disaster either. But the user score on Metacritic.
Oh. Yeah, that's quite a bit lower. It's got a generally unfavorable rating, 2.9 out of 10. That's from 55 user ratings, so yeah. Ouch.
2.9. Wow, okay. That's pretty rough, especially for Lord of the Rings game. You'd think fans would be kinder.
You would think. But here's the twist. Go over to Steam, and it's a completely different story.
Oh.
It's holding a mostly positive rating over there. 78% positive reviews out of, over 1,400 user reviews.
78% positive on Steam versus a 2.9 user score on Metacritic?
Yeah.
How does that even happen? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It immediately makes you think, okay, who are these different scores representing? Are Steam players just looking for something different than Metacritic users? Or maybe the console versus PC experience plays a huge part.
It definitely points to a real split in the player base. So, let's dig into that. What are the people who like it actually liking? And what's driving those really negative scores?
Okay, so focusing on the positive first. Even with the lower scores floating around, there's a definite appreciation, especially from cozy gamers and Tolkien fans, for the game's whole vibe, the core concept, the aesthetic.
They find it genuinely charming.
Yeah, exactly. Charming, true to the lore, capturing that hobbity feel. A lot of reviews mention the little details, the references to Middle-earth history. It seems to really nail that specific atmosphere for those who just want to be a hobbit.
Like low stakes, simple life kind of thing.
Precisely. It's not about saving the world. It's about baking a nice pie for your neighbor.
Yeah.
And people seem to really appreciate that dedication to the source material.
Mm-hmm.
It feels authentic to that slice of Tolkien's world.
Okay, I can see the appeal there. What about the actual gameplay? What mechanics stand out?
The cooking gets mentioned a lot. Like a lot of positive comments about the cooking system.
Really? Cooking?
Described as good, substantial, well thought out.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not just, click and forget. You're actively involved in getting the textures right, the flavors, trying to make the perfect meal for other hobbits.
So it feels meaningful.
It seems so. Like an act of hospitality, which fits the theme perfectly. And then there's the decorating.
Oh, yeah. Is it good?
People seem to love the decorating. Some reviewers called the level of customization for your hobbit hole crazy. Apparently, you have really fine control over ceilings, inner archways, all sorts of details.
So you can really personalize your space.
Totally. One review even said the decorating part is almost like a game in itself. It sounds like they put a lot of effort into that specific feature.
Interesting. Any other positives?
Well, some players like the progression system. Instead of just grinding for gold, you upgrade things by building friendships.
How does that work?
Mainly through sharing those meals you cook. You invite hobbits over, share food, and your friendship levels increase, which unlocks stuff. It pushes you to be neighborly.
That does sound very Hobbit-like. Makes sense.
And overall, for many, it just hits that relaxing, low-stress sweet spot. People called it chill, peaceful, a good way to unwind.
Like something you can just zone out with.
Yeah, some folks mention playing it while listening to podcasts or watching TV just as a way to decompress. It sort of forces you to slow down.
Okay, so there's definitely something there that resonates with a certain type of player, The lore, the cozy vibes, the cooking, decorating.
Absolutely. If that's all you're looking for, you might be quite happy.
Yeah.
But this is where we need to talk about the other side of the coin.
Right, the generally unfavorable side. What's going wrong?
Performance and bugs. This seems to be the single biggest issue, cropping up everywhere, but especially on console.
The classic Switch port problem.
Oh, it sounds particularly bad on the Switch. We saw descriptions like terrible, abjectly terrible, shockingly horrible visuals, lag, stuttering, constant crashes.
Yikes. Not very cozy.
Not at all. One player lost like 40 minutes of progress because the screen just went black during an interaction. Another literally returned their Switch copy and bought it on Steam instead because it was just that broken.
That's really bad. What about PC? Is it better there?
Better, maybe, but still far from perfect. Reports of it being poorly optimized are common. High CPU usage, high RAM, GPU getting taxed way more than you'd expect for this kind of game. Stutters, crashes.
So even on PC, it's not smooth sailing.
Apparently not. IGN's reviewer mentioned having to repeat the same in-game day 5 times because of crashes. Lost hours of playtime. They said they were worried they'd actually broken something.
That's awful. Repeating content because the game keeps crashing.
It really undermines the whole point of a relaxing game, doesn't it? If you're constantly fighting the tech, how can you chill out? For a lot of people, the answer seems to be, you can't.
Okay, so technical issues are a massive hurdle. What about the gameplay itself, aside from the bugs?
Well, this is where the monotony complaints come in. While the core loop is simple, which can be good, many found it becomes boring quite quickly.
Lacking depth.
Seems so. Activities like fishing and gardening, which are usually staples in these games, are described as pretty shallow. And the main story isn't particularly long, maybe 13 to 28 hours. After that, people felt a bit aimless, like there wasn't much driving them forward.
No compelling endgame or long-term goals.
Not according to many critics and players, it just kind of peters out. And the NPCs don't seem to help much either.
Oh, what's wrong with the hobbits?
They're described as lifeless, shallow. Apparently, they don't have much to say outside of their specific quests. The world can feel empty, with lots of characters just standing around silently.
So much for building a vibrant community.
Yeah, that aspect seems to fall flat for many. It makes it hard to get invested in those friendships the game supposedly centers around.
Okay, that's a shame. Anything else grating on people?
Oh yeah, the forced day ending. This one came up quite a bit.
What's that?
You can't just decide to go to bed when you're done for the day. The day ends automatically at a fixed time, and you might just have to wait around.
Wait, you can't just end the day early.
Nope. And people hated this, called it a massive turndown, said it felt like work or just waiting by the bed. Definitely not the stress-free vibe they were going for.
Yeah, that sounds unnecessarily restrictive and kind of frustrating. I can see why that would annoy people.
And then just generally, the graphics, even when they're working, are often called dated or primitive, lacking detail, making the world feel a bit unfinished.
Like a half-finished picture book, I think one review said.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And for the real lore sticklers, Eurogamer pointed out some geographical oopsies in Bywater, rivers where rivers should be, that sort of thing.
Ah, the little things that can pull you out of the experience if you're really into the source material.
Exactly. So yeah, a lot of potential pitfalls there alongside the positives.
Okay, so we've covered the charm, the lore, the nice cozy mechanics, but also the terrible performance, the bugs, the monotony, shallow NPCs, and that weird forced day ending. Quite the roller coaster.
It really is.
So pulling it all together, what's the final verdict? Who is this game actually for? What does this mean for you, the listener, thinking about picking it up?
Well, I think it comes down to priorities. If you are a massive Tolkien fan, like your main goal is just to exist in a digital Shire, soak up the atmosphere, do some light hobbity things.
And you're maybe playing on PC and willing to tolerate some bugs and maybe some shallow gameplay.
Exactly. If the aesthetic and the sheer fantasy of living that simple life are paramount, you might find something to really enjoy here. Like that Reddit user said, it checks all the boxes for me just wanting to live a little hobbit life. It hits that specific niche.
But it sounds like a big but.
It is. If you're looking for a deep life simulation game, with complex systems, lots of meaningful progression, really engaging characters that feel alive.
Or if you just want a game that runs smoothly without crashing all the time, especially on Switch.
Then this probably isn't it. You might end up feeling pretty disappointed, maybe even frustrated. Like IGN said, feeling like a wretched shadow of your former self. That's quite a quote.
It really is. And the price point seems to be a factor too, $35.
Yeah, a lot of reviews mentioned the price felt a bit steep, given the issues and the overall depth. The common advice seems to be maybe wait for a sale.
Makes sense. So a game with a very specific, potentially forgiving audience in mind, but one that struggles with technical execution and gameplay depth for the broader market.
That sums it up pretty well. It
Yeah.
really shows how tricky it can be to adapt such a beloved world into a game. The expectations are sky high.
Absolutely. Well, that was quite the deep dive into the Shire, the good, the bad, and the buggy. A real case of high hopes meeting a somewhat complicated reality for a lot of players.
Indeed, it raises interesting questions about what we prioritize in games based on big IPs.
It really does.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Does faithfulness to the world trump gameplay flaws? Or does a game need to stand on its own 2 feet, regardless of the license? Something to ponder.
Definitely something to think about.
Anyway, if you found this deep dive useful, please do consider giving GameScope a follow, maybe a like, or a rating on whatever platform you're listening on.
Yeah, it genuinely helps us keep doing these deep dives.
It really does. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll touch you on the next one.